All right. Welcome back, my friends, to the podcast that never ends. You know, it may seem like it takes a minute to get some of these episodes done, but you know what? The bottom line is that I want to make sure it's the best possible episode and best possible podcast it can be. You know, there's always these wonderful things that go on, and I hear all kinds of words from a lot of people. I've actually added a few things to this podcast. There's a listener contributor list that I'm building, and this also includes anyone and everyone that's ever come up with an idea for me that I have put a podcast together or a segment or anything in my podcast is in there. Guess what? You get credit for that too. You're in that club too. I'm trying to build the listenership and build these people that can help me contribute to this podcast and make it better. All right. So anyway, what you can do is, it's your podcast. I am the host. The platforms you can find it on is Google, iHeart, Spreaker, Speaker with an R. Thanks to those guys. Again, a tip of the cap to those guys. Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts. There's a massive list of different places to listen to. iHeart, Google, Spotify, Spreaker, Speaker with an R, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, JioSaavn, Podvine. You can also catch us on YouTube. It's now on YouTube. Look up Arena of Ideas. And then I've also, you can also Google search it too, just in case you're wondering, you want to see my lovely face. Not so lovely anyway. My face is also there too. All right, so what's happening is that, all right, so the disclaimer really quick. I'll do the disclaimer, and then we'll get into where other people are listening. I keep getting podstatus.com, keeps giving me updates every single day, and people listening. I don't have any new usual suspects that are on the horizon, of course. This could be listened to everywhere and every possible way in the 13 platforms that I presently have it on. All right, everyone's out there listening. I just don't know where they're all coming from, but when he gets certain amounts and pockets of people, it tells me, pod status tells me where they're listening. All right, so the views and opinions expressed in this and all Arena of Ideas podcast episodes are that of the host and guest, not to be taken out of context, misrepresented by any means possible. All right, that's this disclaimer. Again, I have got Australia, England, Ireland, India. I actually have a new thing for you too. My impressions count is just under 2,000 impressions, be it people that follow, people that are listening, they follow, they subscribe, they download, all those different things are recorded as impressions. And that's what they look at as a basically an indicator for your podcast. And the AOI podcast listeners, contributors list, again, anyone I've ever mentioned in any one of these episodes, and this is now the 29th episode. And the title of this episode is what? Beauty and the Beast Isn't Skin Deep. We'll get into that later. Anyway, so I got Tim from Colorado Springs, Savannah from Colorado Springs, new to the podcast listener, but she's gone through, she's listened, she's followed, and she's helped contribute some content all in the same, like a triple threat. Amazing. She's gone through, and now she's actually, she's listened, she's gone through the whole catalog of all of them, and now she's simply waiting for the next podcast episode to drop. Kenny from Colorado Springs, Detonia from Pueblo, Jen from Pueblo, Nick from Pueblo. I got, again, there's other people that I don't have all written down on here, but you know who you are. You know what you've done. And what it is too is I've got a lot of people that are also going to be involved in other episodes I haven't even written down, and I haven't dropped yet, so just know this, that it's only a matter of time I get to all of them, and it's in the process of just trying to move on with the next segments, the next part with this whole thing goes. And it just keeps growing and it keeps building. And we're working on building the brand, making it better, making the episodes better, and be the best I can possibly be to you guys out there. Again, this is your podcast. I'm simply the host. And so anyway, that kind of gives you some new stuff that's out there. All right, so this is the experiment at the crossroads between content and conversation reinvented. This is a podcast for anything, everything, all things to everyone. It's the triad of talk, the forum of focus. It's straight fire, no holds barred, off the cuff, shoot from the hip, wake up call. All those things apply here, correct? There's also spontaneous questions and stuff that we can get into, epic fail, social mania, nothing's out of bounds, gloves are off, step your game up. Oh, by the way, give me an A, give me an F. You want those as ideas to come up with so we can do this point counterpoint? You want to, and again, I'm trying to invoke everyone else out there too. If you have time and we can get this together, I want to put, more interviews together. I have a few more brewing in the future that we should be coming out with. All right. So I am the content of Conduit, the voice of the people, for the people, by the people. This is an all-information podcast wielding truth, humor, wit, sarcasm, freedom like a verbal weapon. If you're screaming at the TV, the radio, or the sky, or in your head over the BS that's out there, this is your place to be. I'm just trying to live my best life here. Let's light this candle. All right, so anyway, how do we do that, guys? Dramatic pause. Well, we go into rants, raves, beefs, issues, pet peeves are all accepted here. The hows, whys, LOL, ROFL, WTF. Are you kidding me? You're killing me. Keeps you up at night. What wakes you up in the morning really early. Those are all things that apply here. All the talking heads and the radio personalities and everybody else that's out there, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are giving you lip service. They're giving you what they think you need to hear and what they think should be the way it is, instead of what matters to you, matters to me, matters to everyone else, that we're all out there. And that's what's happening. The AOI podcast is real. It's basically real. It's really important that it's real information and real everything else in real time. It's real service in real time for you. Sorry, guys. I kind of messed that one up. All right. So anyway, again, I want all of you out there to go out there, listen, be a part of this whole thing we call the Arena of Ideas, or AOI podcast. I'm going to do, if you have other ideas and ways in which that you all can be a part of this whole thing too, I want you to be here. This listeners and contributors part, that's important, because everyone that's out there listening, everyone's out there contributing and giving me ideas and other things to talk about. Guess what? That's what matters, and that's what makes this whole thing go. And what you're hearing tonight is another example of that. There's a big props, shout outs, and everything else to Adriana. She's actually in the list of what I just listed. I'll have to put alto marker down. She came up with this idea. Adriana came up and she looked at me and she goes, Mike, I'm tired of all these vain, narcissistic, shallow, self-loathing people that are out there. Everything has to be perfectly done. Everyone has to look perfect. Your clothes have to look perfect. Everything else has to be perfect. And, everybody, you put something out there in social media and everyone's constantly checking back to see what kind of comments and different influences that people do based upon how you look, your appearance, all on the outside, whatever can be photoshopped or whatever you can do to make it look perfect. That's great. Well, guess what? That doesn't work. This is a great topic of discussion she had. Adriana, again, from Pueblo. She knows who she is. What a wonderful idea. She's a great person and contributor. I'll make sure she's on that list. And anyway, that's what's happening, is that this whole episode is about that. It's beauty from within. It's finding those great things that we have within ourselves that sometimes we always don't think about, and we don't unlock them. We just simply kind of exist. We kind of go day to day. We live in the doldrums, if you will, of life, and we just kind of live in this perspective where we just kind of, take everything for granted. Well, I don't take things for granted. I don't take people for granted. This podcast is all about the priority that is you. And why did I come up with this? Because it matters to you. It matters to me. And you don't have to impress anybody by the way you dress or the way you talk or the job you have or your resume. It's all not about that. Take that, crumple it up, put it in that proverbial trash can, because you know what? That's not where life's at and where it should not be. So again, Beauty and the Beast Isn't Skin Deep is about finding those inner qualities and great things about people that matter. And when what is inside should matter, it doesn't always though. People get thrown to the wayside. They get bullied, kicked to the curb. You get, thrown out of groups and cliques and all these other things because you don't follow the norm or follow what society thinks we should be. Well, guess what? That's not here. Not in my house. Not ever. So what we're going to do is we're going to get out of this. We're going to break into some music and we're going to get right into the meat and the heart of this episode. This wonderful episode 29 of the AOI podcast, known as Beauty and the Beast Isn't Skin Deep. And I'll be right back. All right. We're back. And again, I already disclosed exactly what the episode is. I already talked about the highlights there of that. And we're already, now it's time to get into what's going on here. So again, we've got some contributors, if you will, on this episode. I give shout outs, but it's really thank you for the contributions. Thank you for what's going on, Adriana. And then also a big part too is Savannah. She's from Colorado Springs. She knows who she is. She told me that she had heard her name previously on another episode and thought that was awesome. Well, like I said, look, I'm simply the voice behind this microphone. Yeah, I have driven and I do all the work here when it comes to this podcast, but it's a labor of love and passion, and I appreciate everything and what everybody says. And if it's good, bad, or otherwise, I don't care. You hate it, you love it. You don't like what you're hearing. You like what you're hearing? I don't care. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is what? Is that this is an opportunity in this arena of ideas to get out what we want to put out. And like I said, a lot of people have great ideas. You can stand in a room, talk to people, and when you talk to them, they have all these great ideas and these different things, and they speak fluently and passionately about what they want to get out there. But not everyone's going to do what I'm doing right now, which is being the host of this this podcast. So anyway, Savannah and Adriana were huge on the process. I always beta test my titles for my different episodes. A lot of people like this one. They thought that was pretty cool. They thought that was interesting, kind of, ingenious when it comes to the way in which it's laid out. And it doesn't need really any further introductions. It is its own introduction. Okay. So without further ado, we're going to get into, I've got some stuff I brought to my attention was dealing with Instagram and things. And I guess there's these people that go on Instagram and they're very, they're like a sponge, and they're just looking for compliments and for adulation. And they want to be accepted and people to give them like a social media hug, if you will. In the process of trying to, they're putting out their deepest, darkest feelings, wearing their heart on their sleeve, and they're putting their soul out there to be trampled, if you will, and all these other things. But they're hoping with social media, which it's social mania, if you remember what I've said before, wanting, acceptance and everything else. And then there's a situation where Ed Sheeran famous singer-songwriter, actually sat there and what he did was he had an interview and was talking about these specific people and wanting to reach out to them and get with them and try to explain to them, wanting to give them a hug, wanting to be there for them, in the best of ways, in the best possible intended ways and everything else. So this first part here we're going to go into is a couple quotes, this whole thing about the Instagram deal. And to mind you, that's Instagram times that by every social media influence that's out there, from TikTok to YouTube to Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. I mean, we're talking all the different big heavy hitters when it comes to all that, right? Okay, so here's a few Beauty and the Beast. There's a couple quotes and things, and then we'll get into the Instagram part, and then we'll get into the other heart of what I was trying to, getting into, like the cosmetic and these different industries for clothing, for cosmetics, for jewelry, things like that, and the way in which they use psychology and guilting people into the process of trying to, buy their products, not because if you wore a diamond or if you had a certain cologne on or perfume, that you would be that person and then you'd be popular too. All right, so back to it. Let me not get on any tangents here while I'm in the process of this. Okay, so Beauty and the Beast quote. Beautiful has nothing to do with looks. It's how you are as a person and how you make others feel about themselves. I think that way all the time. Beauty is about being comfortable in your own skin. It's about knowing and accepting who you are. True beauty is not related to what hair or eye color is. Correct. Snow White quote. That was Beauty and the Beast. Snow White quote. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? The mirror symbolizes the pride or vanity of the queen. The second sin is lust / extravagance. Also symbolizes her status in royalty. Okay, so I mean, those are big, and I kind of, as I'm doing these writing, coming up with the research and everything for these podcasts and everything else that we do, I come along and I come up with other ideas, and everybody else kind of also will send me different ideas or tell me something. Oh, by the way, you're doing this? Well, talk about that. So again, Savannah, putting her name out there again, she had heard of something like this on Instagram. She got a hold of me. I was about ready to drop this episode when she threw this on me. And it's awesome because it totally is in complete comparison to what's going on here, what's happening. And really in this world in which after COVID, everybody kind of separated, went into your own shells, and you're not an extrovert, if you will, at that point, because pretty much you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, right? We're all kind of stuck. Well, in this whole process, the only way in which people would communicate really was through texting, of course, and things like that, but through email and through, social media, or mania, as I like to call it, all those kind of things. All right. So I didn't exactly write down everything that Savannah had said. I just kind of did an overview and paraphrased in some ways. So anyway, again, she gets credit for this next section. And again, appreciation for everyone out there. I don't care who you are, walk of life. If you get a chance to put this in front of me or give me some examples and things like this is great. This is exactly what I want. So the Instagram thing, using beauty photos and hoping social media can fill the void for a lack of attention, probably stemming from COVID and the isolation factor, causing many to fall into depression and various disorders, right? So attention-starved and unappreciated, according to them, insecure individuals can't confide with family and friends. My heart goes out to those who have come to this reality. Totally. I mean, who hasn't doubted themselves, been insecure, or wondered, in the world, do I matter? What's going to happen? Is everything out there crazy? Or am I crazy, or am I just imagining this? And it happens that way already anyway. Then you get young people that, you have emotions are all going and everything else, and everything's out of kilter. And Any one little thing could set you off or trigger you as a young person, right? You're in your teens and all that. You're trying to, shall we say, become a better person by learning all those things and honing your skills to become an adult. Well, in the process of all that, it's like putting, it's like adding gasoline to an already burning fire, because now if you're all hopped up and you're all this, and this, and these negative things and stuff hit you, and that's what really social media can be. I mean, I did put myself on there, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat and Twitter. This is just simply to people to respond. I haven't heard anything back from that, but that's what that's about too, is I'm just trying to utilize it as a tool, and people can be a tool, if you will, no pun intended, if you're on there. So back to it. All right. So sorry to go on a tangent. So attention starved. Let's see. My heart goes out to those people. Okay. It's been difficult already, enough with peer pressure, self-esteem, and personality assassination, if you will, and the deep longing to find a place to fit in the world and to also assimilate and coexist with everyone else, right? That's the biggest thing, acceptance. Wanting to have other people, hoping that no matter what you do or say, that you'll be accepted by other people. You want that adulation, that praise. You want to, because you can't really, if you're in the fishbowl, you don't realize you're in the fishbowl. Well, other people can tell you that, right? So I've told you that in a couple episodes already. Well, that's the truth, right? So back to the issue, Instagram and all of this, please by any means use random acts of kindness, offer help in life or any way possible, right? Saddened by this news, singer-songwriter Ed Sheeran, I believe he's from Ireland. I'll be doing him on a mic check one of these days. Okay. He, basically Ed Sheeran, singer of a song called The A-Team, right? A stands for addiction. And I did not know this until Carrie, also a person who's also I'm going to have to put in this listener contributor list, right? I didn't know. I thought the A-Team was just some cool name for a team or something. I didn't truly know. And she's basically, she's an Ed Sheeran aficionado, really. I mean, she knows a ton about a lot of things, and that's one of them. And she brought that up to me one day, and I said, wow, well, it came into play, this knowledge that she has that she bestowed upon me, right? Excuse me. So anyway, almost sounds like kids calling others, kind of like some personal traits and antisocial behavior that was causing a large swath of people calling on the phone and trying to get the kids on the other end of that phone to kill themselves, things like that. You got ones on phones doing this. You got other ones using Facebook and everything else to, and I've reported about that too, about some people either killing themselves or doing something else in a negative approach, going like Facebook Live and things like that. So all this kind of stuff is all this negative, narcissistic, bad stuff that can happen anyway. So again, looking at this whole thing, it can be really, really taken wrong ways. And so anyway, where was I? What's happening is that everything can be taken good and bad, and everything can be utilized in a good capacity or a bad capacity. And things that seem like it's maybe at the time, whoever the person is, thought that this would be cool on Instagram to go out and do this. When you're commenting and you're putting yourself out there at the public square, basically, and you're looking at the situation like that, you're putting yourself out there for any possible bad thing, a negative thing that can happen. You can also get true people, true to the heart people that can also help you in the positive fashion too. But for how many, for every 10 that's like a total douchebag, right? A DB, a tool, a mean girl, so on and so forth. How many out of all those, how many are you going to find that are actually good and do the right thing for you in that capacity? So that's what we're touching upon. And again, I've got a couple of movie ideas here for you that kind of tie in with this. There's a movie back in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, called Disturbing Behavior. And bad stuff that happened to the people. These people that took advantage of being the popular, really nice looking people, young people, and then preyed upon people that maybe had, personality issues, maybe esteem issues, things like that, and then played evil and mean tricks on people. And then also the movie Mean Girls again. Both of those movies kind of touch upon base on this. And it's kind of like in reference to this whole Instagram situation. Again, I'm so glad that Ed Sheeran was able to bring this out and bring it to the attention. It's things like this that, it really makes you wonder if you should really be in that arena, if you will, called social mania, which is what I call it. Anyway, so those movies just perpetuates the toxic problems that incur and have happen when you go to those situations. So back to Ed Sheeran. So glad he was able to take his brand, name, and concern right at this matter of the heart. So let's recap this troubling friend, Insecure. Also, also dealing with Instagram, trying to cope, who are attention starved, low self-esteem, and without good communication, give that person technology and devices to get into deep psychosis, basically, right, on dealing with the situation. So by all means, please, if you're listening, talk to someone or offer anything to help. Again, Savannah, thanks for caring enough to bring this into the light. A word to the wise: social media it can consume you, and it can also do some horrible things to everybody. That's a big part about that one right there. And again, if you need help, I'm sure there's numbers you can call out there for situations dealing with this. I mean, Dr. Phil discusses this kind of stuff all the time, and he has people on his shows all the time, things like this. And it's great that they have those shows and everything else. Again, mine's an awareness, mine's wanting to bring the attention of what's going on, whatever the episode happens to be about. And the concern is for everybody out there. If you're listening to this and you're also in the situation of this Instagram situation, please, by all means, you can contact me, talk to me. You could talk to somebody else, confide in with your family, whoever you feel comfortable with. But the important part is that it's out there and that we know about it, so things can be taken care of in the process of it, right? All right, and actually one other little part adding on to this little segment right here, okay? Kind of sit there and plan actual activities to get people out and not become a part of, the metaverse and everything else. And don't lock yourself in to screens and, all that other stuff. Sometimes you have to unplug and do something else in your life in order to be a part of it, right? You got to make sure that you go out and have some fun, do some things. Yeah, you can have this other stuff with you, and you can also comment on social media and stuff, but getting out and being a part, walking amongst the people, if you will. Good vibes for everyone. And basically bring yourself to the conclusion that, nobody's perfect. Beauty, there's an inner beauty and an inner greatness and inner strength that we all can get together and put together and make us a better person, right? And that's everybody. Yeah, you're going to hear things. You have to grow a skin, and you have to be able to deal with the slings and arrows, the verbal slings and arrows, humor, sarcasm, all these other things going on, plus all these other real true issues and everything else too. So that's what we have to face in this life. Anyway, that's a really great thing that Savannah came up with there. And all right. So anyway, that's what's going on with all this here, is that was a great little part, actually, that Savannah came up with there. Again, Adriana, She's a great person. She's had ideas. She has had ideas on a bunch of the different episodes, and she's a big time contributor to this podcast and what goes on here. And all of you out there listening, again, appreciate every one of you. I've been hearing about good things, some things I need to work on. Of course, I told you that whole 10,000 hour thing where, I don't have a degree in mass communications. I haven't spent time at a radio station or anything else. I just simply have ideas and everything else. Someone said, Mike, you have kind of a voice for all this. Get it done. Do something. So this is my something. And I kind of found a cool niche. And anyway, let's get back into this. Sorry to go on tangents, guys. Just kind of, go with the flow, go with everything else. Okay, so people who keep and restore natural beauty versus the shallow and narcissistic society. Plastic surgery gone wrong, nip tuck, all these other psychological addictions that basically people that you wouldn't think you wouldn't catch anywhere. They're all of a sudden, it's kind of like tattoos. They get surgery or whatever done, plastic surgery, and next thing you know, they got to have something else done and something else. And pretty soon you forget who you really are. And the way you look is us being lost in the fact that we really don't know who you are anymore. And it's sad because, underneath everything else, and that's what tears people up and just kills you internally, is this, insecurities and self-loathing and all these other things that go on that you beat yourself up over. And remember, it's you inside, and be okay in your own skin. Know that no matter what happens, you are who you are. And if people don't like you or accept you for who you are, and they can't handle it, guess what? There's the door, and there's always another opportunity for someone else to help fill that void in your life, right? So, vanity people who substitute their insecurities for physical appearance, the psychology's behind it, right? The paradigm for the Ken and Barbie universe exposed. The fairy tale seems to be in the upbringing meets the commercialization of beauty. Industries from childhood to the end of time, right? Dress-up dolls and products perpetuate a lifetime of it all. Cosmetics, clothing, jewelry, and levels of confidence all fuel the female since they could walk. And actually males too. I mean, it applies to everybody in life. More prevalent with female variety, though, because that's what really drives the different industries and everything else when it comes to beauty. All right, TV, radio, infomercials, advertising, and more create a toxic obsession with perfection, a neurosis psychosis that basically, it just insulates egos and insecurities. They have you right where they want you, and this is the companies and stuff, right? The baseline to this entire situation is the modeling industry and the websites, magazines, and agencies. Cosmetic and clothing who determine what's in, what's out in style. Overnight success and failure of each season trend, along with the hottest commodities, the models themselves, i.e. fashionistas, right? What is a fashionista? A fashionista is a designer of horticulture, a devoted follower of fashion, the goats, if you will, greatest of all times, who help drive the industry, the influencers of beauty. Before I go on, again, anybody out there that wants to comment, you want to bring something else to the table over this, you've got some horror stories when it comes to plastic surgery, down to, being allergic to a perfume or to something else bad. It's called Beauty Gone Wrong, and you want to add this to this, and we want to throw in that in the mailbag for next time. Well, after hearing all this, you're all of a sudden remembering things that happened to you. You know what? That's what this is for. This is an awareness and opportunity to get what we need to get out there for everyone, right? This is what we're talking about. This is important, right? Okay, so who can either raise the bar in the industry or kill your brand? with their powers of social media, going back to the fashionistas, right? This is a good look at what the nuts and bolts of what makes it attractive and addictive of the topic of this episode and what's out there. The following is the dark side of beauty, right? What becomes the beast in this equation and brings out wretchful, hideous, vain, insecure, brooding, self-loathing, mirror monsters, not really in quotes, I made that up myself, debutantes who have a real person inside, yet choosing to be the human portrait of Dorian Gray. Okay, here's your definition of Dorian Gray. Again, I'm not out here to throw all these quips and these other things and, use these high pollutant words and everything else and not give some context, because you know what? Not everyone knows about it. I had to look this up and to really, truly understand what Dorian Gray was about. Anyway, I'd heard that term before, and I'm using it in this episode anyway. So Dorian Gray is so infatuated with beauty that sold his soul and anything just to remain young and beautiful, right? Forever. Sound familiar? Because in the clothing, cosmetic, and jewelry industries, they use the same tactics to create this facade of perfection, and in the process, turn those in their turning those into basically this hyper arrogant or insecure and poor self-esteem person that's going to go out there, hear what they have to say and suggest, and through their psychologies and everything else, and through guilting to make you feel bad that, if you don't use their product or whatever else for appearance, to airbrush yourself or whatever else is going on, you're not going to look good. You need to go with us and our products and everything else. All right. So anyway, that's basically a big part of it. What I'm going to do right now, before we get into more of this, is I'm going to break this up with a little more bumping music. Give us a chance to, again, I like to consume and use bite-sized pieces and break it up. And it's not just me droning on over and over again. It's not hitting someone over the head. It's getting information out there. It's doing it in a very interesting, cool way, I hope. That's the way I feel about it anyway. So it's a way to get us to the next little section here of this episode 29, Beauty and the Beast Isn't Skin Deep, of the Arena of Ideas podcast. And we'll be right back. All right. We're back with this 29th episode of the Arena of Ideas podcast. Beauty and the Beast Isn't Skin Deep. I was going to start getting into some other little parts here, and I have some statistics and different things that are, I don't want to hit you with all that all the time, but it's important to know these things, right? It's vital to you. It's vital to me. It was very informative. Like I said, it's almost like doing therapy. It's like being a reporter, but also a psychologist or whatever, or anyway, it's a way in which to kind of satisfy many wonderful things I wondered about, and I get to do the research, and I also get to do the therapy part. It's like a reporter. It's like a therapeutic reporter, so to speak. Now, that didn't sound right, but anyway, you get the point. And again, these are just lists and different things I looked up. Please, by all means, you want to jump in? You got some horror stories or something else that's going on. You got great things about the natural beauty part playing a big part in what happened and how you won the day or something. That's also part of it too. It's not always the negative. I'm just trying to put all these things out there that might be important and relate to this episode and these topics. But you know what? Again, please chime in. I want it. I want all the information, good, bad, or otherwise. That's what we all need to hear. And again, I appreciate everyone out there listening. So basically, here we go. 10 signs of a shallow person. All right. Excuse me. Thrives on gossiping and gossip and drama. I put that at the top of the list. And what do you think that might be? Because anywhere you turn on TV and everything else, that's what you get, right? Materialistic, believing in material things, going out there and having, someone else buys a car, you buy a bigger, better car. They go get this scent or perfume, then you're out there getting the next one, trying to one up everybody. And that's where they get all these insecurities and everything else. When it comes to your looks and everything else, people just are driven. You're going to see it in here. Back to it. Relationships are self-centered. Lack of intelligence. I don't know about that. And again, this is off a list. How about not a lack of intelligence, but a lack of putting your intelligence to good use? Because if you're out here and so worried about all these other things, you're not allowed to be the person that you are. It's why it's easier to be that great, wonderful person and that beauty from within. It really is. Center of attention. You want to be the center of attention, right? Poor listening skills, because you're so busy bent on so busy setting yourself and what you're doing and how you're looking and everything else that's going on with you. You forget about the other important part, which is listening over hearing. And I sometimes have problems with this, and I'm going to be the first to admit it to you. But let me tell you something. That's, not for a lack of trying, just happens, right? So note, in all the negative traits, factor in social media, peer pressure, and self-obsessions create that beauty beast, if you will. Again, something I made up, as I call them, and makes it toxic for anyone around in their circles, their cliques, their groups, and whatever else you want to call your family, your friends, whatever you want to call that. It doesn't really matter. Your cliques, friends, people you hang out with, you chill with, whatever's going on. So anyway, NPD is narcissistic personality disorder, has risen and are in correlation in the rise of obesity and other disorders and depressions. Technology and the rise of social media have turned well-adjusted members of society into self-absorbed narcissists. Now factor in beauty and all disgust make people want and starve for, right? Complete acceptance, end quotes. In life, there should be a blind meeting where you have a blindfold on and get to know someone. How? By simply talking to them. You're not looking at their appearance. You're simply listening to them, and they're listening to you, and you're communicating and you're color commentating, kind of like what I do in this podcast. You're color commentating, but you're simply talking with a blindfold on, and you don't have all these other things that are in your way, like if you have a facial issue or a tick or, a tick in your voice or whatever's going on with you. You don't have all that. And this is my perspective on it. The blind meeting, right? Where you get to know someone by how you can hear them. Like if someone was truly blind, they would have to base everything upon what they hear from you and you can hear anger and happy and everything else in your voice. Well, that's a way to truly get to know somebody. All right. So allows you the true person and what matters, what's inside. Natural versus cosmetic beauty is two different mindsets, as well as the fact taking what you were born with is always a better option, right? And has the least chance of the worst repercussions and repulsive results, i.e. cosmetic surgery as an example, or body modifications, or alterations gone wrong, or to give me a great smile controversy, right? And wearing what's comfy and accentuates the mood, not the attitude. Again, my words. Oh, by the way, there are some of the facts about beauty-related information. $49.2 billion in cosmetics annually in America. Globally, $380.2 billion. Again, a big part of that, probably 70-30, is women to men, where that's what drives that industry. That's why most of the models are female. Well, other parts are to just be appealing, but skincare is the most popular at 42% of sales. No one on the fence. It's brand specific as per choice, such as L'Oreal. You've got all CoverGirl, you got all those different things, right? L'Oreal brand is most valued in USA. Wow, women spend $250,000 in a lifetime in the process of trying to look the part, and in their clothing, their cosmetics, and their jewelry, right? Basically, that's what's it. Okay, so anyway, a list of the most used in that whole situation are facials, haircuts, so makeup, manicures, pedicures, guys, pretty much, facials, moisturizers, gym memberships, and so on. Weight, hair, and skin quality were the most concerned, both men and women, right? People in their 20s spend more as you age and can accept your appearance results. It lessens as time goes on, right? So when you're younger, you want to look hip, you want to look all these things, you want to look a certain way and keep that look. Well, I'm in my 50s. Don't have to impress me much with anything, but it's still a driving force. And especially, like I said, 70-30 to women over men, probably. Again, I'm just looking it up. This pursuit of beauty, backed by a few stats, drives society into insanity and paralyze their misconceptions of what true beauty is. For eras, cultures, societies, and public scrutiny become the judge, jury, and executioner, if you will, through the optics of companies in the industry, fashion, cosmetics, jewelry, who have created such a neurosis and guilt-driven process of what is acceptable, raise the bar higher than the eye can see. So then you also now got to factor in demographics, ages, and ages of life's most impressionable and vulnerable among us. You have a toxic and horrible combination of internal struggle meeting external peer pressure. Basically, finding out that we're closer to the movies Mean Girls and Cruel Intentions. Look them both up. Good movies, like I was saying. Life imitates art. Way too close to the vest on this issue. So options and what needs to be done also comply. Social media, which is put shaming, bullying, and downright hateful based upon looks, status, and wealth. This is really this is really not how it should be, yet involving people in this mix and their biases and upbringing and the other influences they bring to the table makes beauty more a trophy, right? A trophy, if you will, not something to appreciate by all. So now countless individuals are needing to relate their own journey in life, with the fact being that able to live in your own, if you're able to live in your own skin, accept what you have been given, right? And is a great you. Just know, I'm not saying that not to aspire only for what makes you great inside, but also to understand that, look, you can have there's some people that are naturally just beautiful, amazing, wonderful people. And then some of us, you have to really work on your craft and use different things that you have at your disposal in order to be the person you are. And if you have to impress somebody by the way you look or something else, you're not doing it right. And it's maybe the wrong person or wrong audience that you're a part of, i.e. a clique, a group, or whatever else is going on. There can be a way to merge both taking the best to find your happy place. We don't have to live in a perfect world and can't expect the outcome that way. A lot of what is great coping method of all this noise must be face is a positive, have a positive attitude, humor, smile, good vibes, and all else fails, think of what keeps you sane and focus on that. Don't let trolls and... Sorry, guys. Life is alarming, right? No pun intended, but boom. And we'll have the comedy corner here shortly. Sorry. So, anyway. A lot of what is great coping method of all this noise is we must face the attitude, the humor, smile, good vibes, and all else fails, think of what keeps you sane, right? And focus on that. Don't let the trolls and hostile among the places in your life bring you down. So understand, there are no tangible measures to what can be seen in your dreams. Beauty is what you say it is. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But then again, too, it's also in you and what you project and the way in which what you bring to the table. The greatness that is within you. And that's what I want to sit there and understand. Not keyboard warriors who have axes, memes, and other problems to grind. All of mankind, human race, is comprised of big and small, thin and husky, and all measurables getting past the vanity of what we see, and let our soul shine. Intelligence, personality, wit, charm, kindness, and what makes you who you are sooner the better, right? Because again, the whole blind test thing where you put a blindfold on. Maybe you do that, maybe you don't do that, but anyway, it's just a good way to understand that there's more to it than just what meets the eye, and that's everybody. There's a dark side to this episode, and like where things are taken too far, and it can occur from mild cases where words here are exchanged and creates hostility, depression, low self-esteem, to the escalation beyond the boiling point, and physical violence takes place. A tug of war, if you will, waged, basically causing everyone to choose sides, having to sit there and see what side you're on and stuff like that. Why can't we be all on the same side? So I ask you listening, audience, to see where you come out on this episode. What is right? What is wrong? And what blurs the lines between bridging the gap to a place to coexist? Mine is creating a way to bring awareness, information, and giving the proper space to discuss the outcome for us all. And again, I'm not here to knock anyone trying to better themselves, get a better hairstyle, add some jewelry, some rings, and some different things. If they feel, look, here's the thing. If all these things that you do, from buying all these cosmetics, the clothing, the jewelry, and all this sort of stuff, if that's what makes you happy, and that's what makes you feel good about yourself, and that's where you have that soul shine and all those other great things about you, those good vibes. If that's what makes you happy, then great. But like everything else in life, it cannot be the end all be all when it comes to people. And look, I can give two bleeps, if you will, when it comes to what someone looks like, how they are, what they wear, what they dress, There's a term, dress to impress, and all these other things, and all these other ways in which they try to get you, again, guilted into buying their products. The big part about it is, at the end of the day, I know coining a phrase, but the bottom line is, are you happy in your own skin? What you do and the way in which you live your life, is it what you want it to be? And again, everyone else around you, are they also fine with you the way you are? Are you fine with them the way they are? Or is it just, this mutual admiration society Well, everybody walks around with mirrors. They have distracted walking and living because these mirrors get in the way of them actually seeing life beyond what the mirror is and knowing that there's greatness in everyone. And that's what this whole episode, this 29th episode is all about, really. It's a driving force behind it. And I basically want to thank again Adrienne and Savannah for their contributions again. Contributors to the show, to the episode, and also to the podcast. I'm going to get into some music now. Jump into the comedy corner. We'll also get into the mic check, and we'll also get into Remember the Legends, the mic check. We're going to throw Shyla out there for the credit for this. Shyla, she's from Pueblo. She knows who she is. She's a young person. She likes this band called Motionless in White. I don't know if you know who they are. You're going to learn about them. And then I got Marilyn Monroe, as Remember the Legend. I thought it would kind of tie in with this whole episode. All right, so what we're going to do is get back into all that, anything else that we have in the closing part that we can add. But anyway, so what we're going to do right now, again, is to get into some music, bring this up, and we're going to have a moment where I'm going to let this music play. We'll go into the other parts of this 29th episode, Beauty in the Beast Isn't Skin Deep, and we'll be right back. All right. We are back. Again, welcome back to this podcast and episode, guys. I say podcast a lot. I'm sorry. I'm going to try and curve that and try to leave that out of the conversation. I can't help it. It's my passion. My love is getting this out there and having a good time. And it's, again, I think of all of you as family and friends here. I really do. It's not just some lip service like the other guys. It's some real service in real time. Anyway, the Comedy Corner, people are telling me they do like the Comedy Corner. There's some people out there that really like to listen and really like to hear the laughs and use them yourself. I use a couple different comedy generators that helps me with this whole process and getting the comedy out there. You got to laugh a little bit, man. You got to have a smile. You got to wield some humor and sarcasm and some other things that make us who we are in this life, right? And make it all the better in the process of doing what we do. Okay, so without further ado, let's go to the Comedy Corner. I usually read 2 to 3 little funny jokes. If they catch you funny, write them down. Use them for yourself. By all means, please. The gift that keeps on giving, humor. All right, so we'll do our comedy. In life, you need to have some comedy. You need to have the ability to laugh and to have that release and everything else. And again, if you like what you're hearing on the Comedy Corner, guess what? MichaelKingston723@yahoo.com. My phone number is published in there. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Arena of Ideas is on all those. Look them up. Put down a comment. I'm not accepting friend requests from anybody. Because again, it's not about me. It's about the podcast, right? And again, I'm mentioning podcasts too many times or episodes and things, but it's important to get them out there. And I'll try and lessen those and try to do more of the focusing on what we need to do in the podcast itself. Excuse me. Sorry, it's a hard habit to break. I will work on that. I'm efforting on that. Okay, so all right, here we go. Like them or don't, let me know. Hope you like them. And we'll move on from there. I'm not looking for anyone to pump me up or bring me down. I just want to get all this out there. So here we go. How do you find Will Smith in the snow? How do you? You look for fresh prints. I just read a book about Stockholm Syndrome. It was pretty bad at first, but by the end, I liked it. Why do trees seem suspicious on sunny days? I don't know. They're just a bit shady. All right, that's 3. I'm going to put 3 out there. I don't want to go too long on the tooth in this whole thing. All right, so that's the end of the comedy corner. All right. All right, so what I'm going to do now, instead of going with the other 2 first, I'm going to go into plugs, props, and shout-outs. Shout-outs to everybody out there listening, everybody out there contributing, being a part of this whole process. I thank all of you. I'm going to go into the plug part where I plug this company called Burning Mountain Boutique. It's located here in Pueblo, Colorado. And then I'll get into the mic check and then also Remember Legends. We'll close this thing up, put a bow on it, and move on from there. All right, so Burning Mountain Boutique, Cherie Baker, owner-proprietor, custom and handmade jewelry, custom glassware, stash jars, bags, shirts, smoking accessories, odds and ends. A literal one-stop shop for all things creative and fun. On Facebook at facebook.com, adding to the end of Burning Mountain Boutique. At gmail.com, again, same thing when you're dealing with the Burning Mountain Boutique. To contact Boutique, if you have rare and custom pieces, Cherie and staff are here to help in questions and one-of-a-kind creations. Use both options, also tied in with the Nerd Emporium. The Nerd Flea Market, if you will, located at 520 West 13th Street, right here in the heart of Pueblo, Colorado. Right? So it's 13th Street, Pueblo, Colorado, 81003 is the zip code there. They're open from 12 to 6 every Saturday. 15 to 20 vendors selling anything and everything under the sun, under the umbrella of Nerd. Phone call to 719-717-1089. Again, the phone number for Burning Mountain Boutique is 719-717-1089. Right? Great and personable staff that their goal is to make sure your dreams and unique creative trinkets become reality. Immerse yourself in the experience of culture and fun. Dealing with, the Burning Mountain Boutique, Cherie Baker, owner-proprietor. Again, here in Pueblo, Colorado. If you've got ideas and you want to add other businesses and things you want me to do commercial reads for and do plugs for, I'm here. I love doing this. I love doing it. It gets me the opportunity to get commercial reads and things in case I get sponsored. If anyone's out there listening, they want to sponsor me, I'm right here. You know where to find me. I'm right behind the microphone, and where we've already explained where I'm at. Okay? So anyway, that is the plug. Now we'll get into the other 2 parts. So we're not going to go too long. Again, I try to keep it within a certain frame of time, and I'm working on that. I'm going to work on, something for me really also important is the fact that I need to work on repetitions of words and things that I do put out there, and I try not to. It happens. And I'm trying to get better, and if you guys find out those things are going on, please, by all means, there's people that tell me, hey, you've got this going on. You need to maybe work on this here, or you're filling in too many words, or some of it sounds repetitive. This is not like a baseline where each and every episode I change a few things around and it becomes cookie cutter. It's not at all. This is the opportunity for us to get out there in this process and this open forum known as a podcast. All right. So anyway, Shyla, she's a younger person from Pueblo, Colorado. She loves music too, just like I do, among other people, and she's really got some cool ideas. Anyway, she wanted to hear this, and I kind of put this at the forefront above some other people. But anyway, Motionless in White, right? This is the mic check on Motionless in White. Shyla, if you're out there listening, you're going to hear it. Your name's being mentioned and all about your band. Okay, here we go. A American heavy modern metal band from Scranton, Pennsylvania. Formed in 2004, the band is Chris Motionless, Sherrill, Ryan Sitkowski, Ricky Horelson, and then Vinny Morrow. Band states name is taken from a 18 Visions song. Signed to Fearless Records, have a total of 6 studio albums, blending metalcore, goth metal, and industrial metal. A laundry list of influences from basically, let's see, a list of influences from all genres makes them well-rounded and accomplished, right? Chris Motionless has drawn inspiration at between 8 and 9, was learning guitar from his grandfather. He's the only original member left, basically. To me, they represent a huge following, like some other bands like The Following. And again, some of the people I like too. I listen to everything. So, I Prevail, Falling Reverse, Bad Flower, etc. I love the vocals, and angry disposition creates intense and melodic experience. A must listen. Appreciate their music mayhem. And also their catalog and everything else. Again, a big shout out and thanks to Shyla. She's from Pueblo, Colorado. She knows who she is. Thanks again for coming up with the idea. That's why I do. I want people to tell me what I'm supposed to be talking about and supposed to be going into in the different segments. All right. So again, props to Kenny. This next one is Marilyn Monroe. Amazing. You know, she really, with all the things she kind of did in her life, you almost could probably do an episode on her by herself. I'm just making it a mic check. You know, keep it simple, if you will. Props to Kenny from Evoqua. He's also on my list of listeners and contributors to the show. Big guy, comes with a whole bunch of different ideas and things for the show. Appreciate him. Love his enthusiasm, love his participation and everything else in the process. Again, you also could be a part of the listening contributors club that I have going. All right. So anyway, Norma Jean Mortensen, born June 1st, 1926, died August 4th, 1962, a.k.a. Marilyn Monroe. A sex symbol, icon, model, actress, pop culture queen, the centerpiece of a Elton John song. Again, I don't know who doesn't know that, but anyway, there's a song called Candle in the Wind by Elton John. That song is about Marilyn Monroe. Basically, to me, lamenting the loss of gone too soon lady dealing with bouts of depression and insecurities. She's a real measure and reason why you can't equate popularity, prominence, and fame with true happiness. Later, Norma Jean Baker. She was in a string of popular movies, Some Like It Hot, All About Eve, etc. She may be more popular for singing Happy Birthday to President John F. Kennedy and her scene over the grate as the wind blows up her dress and blows her skirt up. Married to baseball player Joe DiMaggio, short-lived, and like the song, Your Candle Burned Out Long Before Your Legend Ever Did. Again, part of that song, Candle in the Wind, Elton John. by all means, walk in her memories. Watch her movies, via her YouTube clips. Know this, sadly, she had beauty abound, infectious a smile, and a charisma till the end of time. She really did. Huge icon. She's on a bunch of different things. You'll see pictures and stuff of her all the time. And, I kind of tied in Marilyn Monroe to the Remember the Legends to kind of tie in with the Beauty and the Beast and Skin Deep episode, because why? She kind of had the outward appearance. She had all these beautiful things about her outwardly, but internally she was struggling with addictions and with depression and all these other things that were going on with her. And it really kind of boiled up inside of her and made it difficult. Well, that's the truth, and the whole part about it is that, that's what matters in the whole process. All right, so streaming real quick, and then I'll go to the close for this episode anyway. So, you got a show called Lucifer on there. Stream that. That's pretty good. I've had a few people I know talk about that, and that being a cool show. And then there's a show that's been on forever, but man, it's compelling and it's always interesting, called Criminal Minds. If you get a chance, check those two out, right? So, anyway, we've gone through everything else this time, as every time. We've already gone through everything else. I don't have anything for the mailbag. People do give me words of advice and different things as time goes on. We'll move on from there. Back to the part of listening and everything. So, if it's your first time here, I want to welcome you to the Arena of Ideas podcast. Please, relax, take off your coat, take off your hat, sit down, stay a while. I love it. Go in, see what you find. And again, this goes out to everybody. If you find an episode that you like, that you find interesting, just by the title, do this for me. Give it a test drive. Sit there, listen to the episode, see what you think. And if you like it, great. If you don't like it, well then, you don't, there's a million other options out there to listen to. This is one from me here, putting the pants on the same way you do. I just happen to have a microphone in front of me. And then there's everybody else out there and everything else. Well, give it a test drive. Just try it like you would test drive a car. You'd want to check it out, see what you think, move on from there, right? That's pretty much what it is. Okay, so that's an important part of what's going on. Now, if you're back and you're listening and you're the dedicated people, like some of the ones I've listed among other people too that are also listening, and they've gone through and they've listened to a good number of episodes and they just keep going. And it gets down to the point where after a while you're all listening, and then pretty soon you want to get to the point where you're waiting for that next one to come out because you've listened to everything else. And it does my heart good, and it fills my passion bucket all the way up to hear that. So if you're first time here, welcome. I want to invite you in. Come on in. And if you've been here and you're back again, welcome back. I love you swinging that door open and coming right back in. So until next time, this has been your host, Mike Kingston of the AOI or End of Ideas podcast, your podcast. Have the best of the rest of your life, best of the rest of your day. And until next time,